Mr. Chairman. Ms. Haspel, thank you very much for your courtesy in meeting with me yesterday. However, I regret to have to say there is no greater indictment of this nomination process than the fact that you are deciding what the country gets to know about you and what it doesn't. And so far, the American people have only been given information that is designed to help you get confirmed. Everything else has been classified. So I've got some questions. I think they're fairly short, and some I hope we can do yes or no. Now, you publicly released the Morell report, which some have cited as reflecting favorably about your involvement in the destruction of interrogation tapes. Do you have any objection this morning to the public release of the Durham investigation, which would give the American people more information on the same topic and which does not come from the CIA?
Senator, just to be clear, the request for the declassification of the Morell memo was in response to a member on this committee. I have not read the Durham report, and I don't know the classification, so let me take that for the record, if I may.
But do you have any objection?
Well, I haven't seen it, so I haven't read it, so I don't know.
Well, I'm going to ask you about this in the classified session, but I think in the name of fairness with respect to your role on these issues, this ought to be made public just the way the Morell report was. Now, on Sunday, the Washington Post reported that unnamed officials were pushing back against accusations that you supported torture in one of our biggest papers in the country. Between 2005 and 2007, the program was winding down. The CIA was capturing fewer detainees and waterboarding was no longer approved. During that time, did you ever call for the program to be continued or expanded?
Senator, I think like all of us who were in the Counterterrorism Center and working at CIA in those years after 9/11, we all believed in our work. We were committed. We had been charged with making sure the country wasn't attacked again, and we had been informed that the techniques in CIA's program were legal and authorized by the highest legal authority in our country and also the president. So I believe I and my colleagues in the Counterterrorism Center were working as hard as we could with the tools that we were given to make sure that we were successful in our mission.
My time is short, and that respectfully is not responsive to the question. That was a period where the agency was capturing fewer detainees, waterboarding was no longer approved, and especially in light of that Washington Post story, I would really like to have on the record whether you ever called for the program to be continued, which it sure sounds to me like your answer suggested. You said, well, we were doing our job, it ought to be continued. That troubles me very much because you were the chief of staff to the deputy director for operations. It's a senior position. So I'm quite troubled by that response.
Senator, may I just say that I don't know which Washington Post story you're referring to, but let me say this about myself. After 9/11, I didn't look to go sit on the Swiss desk. I stepped up. I was not on the sidelines. I was on the front lines in the Cold War, and I was on the front lines in the fight against al-Qaeda. I'm very proud of the fact that we captured the perpetrator of 9/11, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. I think we did extraordinary work. To me, the tragedy is that the controversy surrounding the interrogation program, which as I've already indicated to Senator Warner, I fully understand that, but it has cast a shadow over what has been a major contribution to protecting this country.
I respect a number of those points. I just am trying to get some answers here to questions that I think are particularly relevant. According to a press story today about the destruction of the interrogation videotapes, Jose Rodriguez told you in advance that he was going to take matters into his own hands. Did that conversation happen?
Senator, no, it did not. Mr. Rodriguez indicated to me that he planned to discuss it with the then director, Goss.
Let me see if I can get one last in on it. When did you become aware that the cable authorizing the destruction of the interrogation videotapes had been sent?
Senator, as Chief of Staff, it's a desk-bound job, so I was at my desk at least 12 hours every day, and I could see my computer screen. So it was shortly after Mr. Rodriguez, who sat right across the hall from me, had released the cable.
I'm over my time. I'll ask some more about this in the classified session. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.